Hey everyone, Sheila here from Life with Pets. So hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm using a different system and I need to see if I can find the chat. It's been that long since I have done any of this that I'm not really too sure what I'm doing because it seems to have changed. Okay, alright, I can see the chat coming on now. Hopefully that will be enough. I might see if I can get it on over here as well. So let me see. And then that way I can follow on the chat easier. Okay, all right. So there we go. Okay, if the chat doesn't move too fast here, then I'll follow it here, but I might keep looking to the side, and that's just because I'm looking at the computer. So hey everyone, it has been quite a while since we have done a live stream. So I thought that I would hop on, as I didn't do a video today and I do have a night free. Then I thought that I would give a live stream a go, as it's probably been a couple of months since I last did one. So if you hear noise in the background, we have had quite a storm with thunder, lightning, the whole 9 yards. So if you hear all that in the background, I apologise, and hopefully we don't lose power or anything crazy like that. So all right, I'm going to take a look at the chat over here because it seems to have vanished on there. So all right, so we've got Petsotics says hello, Jim says hello, Unicorn Courtney, oh Nisi, glad to see you as always. All right, can you do a video on beta body rot? I don't think I have ever seen or heard of body rot. Fin rot, yes, but body rot, no. And I do actually have a video on fin rot and the difference between fin rot and fin biting. But as for body rot, if you mean like fungus and things like that, it's not something I've really dealt with. So I do try not to do videos where I've not actually experienced it, so that I'm not giving out wrong information. So maybe do a little bit more research on that yourself. All right, so Creative Innovations is here. Viola 3T700, hi Brianna, glad you could join us. All right, so happy to catch you live. Can you do more beta videos, please, please, please? I try to do a balance. Oh, hi Bob, hello to you too. I do try and do a balance when it comes to videos. And at the moment, I am going to be totally honest with you guys, and I am struggling for videos. I have been on now almost 4 years and done a video, if not once a week, sometimes twice a week, and I have had a break here and there, but sometimes it gets very difficult on what to do because you feel like you've done everything already. So I do sort of really struggle. I will tell you, I do have a Belfin one lined up for next week. Everyone loves Belfin, and I'm going to do an update on him and Callie next week as well. So all right, let's see what we've got going on here. I'm clearly going to ask about Belfin. Belfin is wonderful. Him and Callie just absolutely adore each other, and I'm so glad that we moved the tank and did what we did. And the plants, those fake plants in the tank, have been so popular that we've sold out twice. And I am waiting for another large shipment to come in, and once they come in, then obviously they'll hit the website. And I know that we have the Notify one back in stock, and I think there's about 15-20 people actually click that to be notified. So I am hoping this shipment is not going to vanish in the blink of an eye, but I am actually going to do an update on those plants as well in the video next week. So all right. Do you do weekly live streams? I don't. I barely even manage once a month, never mind once a week. I do like the idea of doing it, and I guess I would like to do it. It's just, it's finding the time, and so, you know, it's something I can't commit to because I know that I probably wouldn't keep it up. Sometimes I think I'm sure a lot of you are aware, it's very rare that I'm in like the video face to face. I hate being in front of the camera. I much prefer to be behind the camera, and so I find live streams difficult. I do find them difficult. I enjoy it because I like the interaction with you guys, but it's something that doesn't come easy to me. But hey, maybe if I did it more often, then maybe it would. Who knows? All right, let's see. Belfin, how's Belfin? Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, he's having a nap right now, probably. He is so funny at night when he goes to sleep. Like the lights go out about 9 o'clock on his tank, and he's just so funny because he goes to the top. Callie usually sleeps on the bottom, and he sleeps on the top. And the current, it's not very strong in the tank because it's just two big sponge filters, but it sort of like takes him around. So he ends up just slowly going around the tank, and he just goes with the flow. It is so cute to watch, and she just sleeps on the bottom. So can you do a video on growing healthy Amazon frog bit? There's not really a great deal to it. All I would say is that I think the one mistake a lot of people make with frogbit is the current. It doesn't like a strong current, and it also needs a fairly strong light. But the biggest mistake usually is people have it with a strong current, and it does not like that at all. I found that in the tanks that I kept trying to grow it, the one common factor was I want to say a strong current, just a much stronger than sort of like a sponge filter that's on very, very low. And I found that it did a lot better in tanks where it was just a much lower flow. So I would say basically that if you want to add fertilizer, you can. We never did, but you can do that. That would also really help it as well. Let's see, do I have dwarf gouramis or platies? Those are the fish I have in 2 planted 10 gallons. I don't. We have actually I've not owned the dwarf, I don't think, but we've owned the blue gouramis many years ago, and I do think they're a beautiful fish. And we had platies many years ago as well, but we don't currently own any right now. Guppies and beta fish are our main things, and of course our 2 wonderful goldfish, and then sort of our 125 gallon with a huge mixture of different fish. Let's see. Hey, do you think play sand would be safe in a tank? It's not something I've ever used. However, a lot of people do say yes, but I would say make sure that you wash it thoroughly. The other thing I would say sort of to be, I want to say wary of with it is it can get very compacted. So you do need to watch that as well, but that's not something that I've never used. It's been a month since my mystery snail laid its clutch. No hatching babies. What do you do with the clutch? It can take, I want to say, I had one, most of ours hatch in about 8 to 10 days or 7 to 9 days. I've been experimenting just recently because we have had a massive explosion, in fact a worrying explosion, a massive explosion of clutches laid. And I normally would do them by taking like the little pot and paper towel in it, like dampen it and put the clutches in it, and then just float them on the top of the tank. And they've always hatched fairly well. They usually take a little longer that way. I would say, I don't know, maybe up to 2 weeks that way. And so with all this explosion that we've had going on, I was running out of space in the pots, quite frankly. And so I decided to leave them on the sides of the tank. And it's been really interesting because the ones in the pots, I think it's one batch that are around the 4-week mark and are just starting to hatch. And I have 2 that are almost becoming on 6 weeks, but they are getting ready to hatch, and that's the longest we have ever gone. And then the ones on the side of the tank that we've just left, they've literally been hatching in, I want to say 8 to 10 days, something in that range. So I've since been leaving them on the side of the tank, and I haven't been taking them off. As for what to do with them, we leave ours, I would leave it at least 6 weeks. I would go at least that long, and then after that it just wasn't fertile, and so I would just discard it. You can actually crumple it up, not crumple. crumble it up into the tank, and it is an excellent source of calcium for your snails. So you can actually do that if you want to discard it if you feel that it is infertile. Do you hold your breath when you fill a tank? No. All right, Langdon Enamel's $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for inspiring me to make my own goldfish videos. Well, thank you. All right, the early goldfish videos helped my goldfish and our journey so much. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I absolutely love the goldfish. When we first got them, Belfin, we have had, is it 3 years? I think it's nearly 3 years now that we've had a goldfish. I mean, I've had goldfish many, many moons ago, but it's been 3 years since we got Belfin, and he has just been such a joy to our family, I have to say. Such a joy. All right, let me see what we've got. What's your experience with hornwort? It doesn't grow well in my tanks, but it might be because I don't use CO2 or anything. That's actually not a plant I have done. I think it's one that is supposed to grow fairly well, but some plants do need the CO2, and I would say if it is struggling and you've got everything else right, you're feeding it, and you know, sort of your parameters are right, your lighting is right, then I would maybe try the CO2. We stick to everything simple, so all our plants are what I would class as beginner plants, because they just don't need anything at all, and so they grow really, really easily. Where am I? Hello from Vermont. Your tanks and videos are awesome. Well, thank you very much. Your suggested minimum for a beta, and if water parameters are fine and a beta is inactive, does that mean they are unhappy? Minimum for a beta, this is this is a hot topic very often. For me personally, now this is my personal opinion, I would say for a beta splendid, so you know, big fins, I would say minimum 5 gallons. For me, preferably 10, but minimum 5. But for the placat beta, I would say a minimum 10, and that's just because they are so much more active that I feel that they just need a much bigger tank. When we had Picasso in our 75 gallon, he was a double tail placat beta, and he covered every inch of that tank. He was so active, and that really opened my eyes to they really do need much more than we very often give them. As for if everything is okay and he's not inactive, I would maybe check water temperature. How old is he? Does he look healthy? I mean, betas typically are generally active. However, if they've got really big fins, that can make them that they're not as active. So I would just maybe, you know, take a look at your type of beta, check your temperature, and after that, I would say, is the tank suitable for him? Is it heavily planted? Does he have things to do? Does the tank provide enrichment, I guess you could say. They're the things that I would look at. All right. What are your thoughts on the Lightfoot magenta snails that actually look purple? Do you stick with the look for colour or popular opinion? The Lightfoot is magenta, as in, you know, for me, we get the issue because our babies, when they're very, very young, they look very like a pink, almost like a real sort of vibrant pink, and people think they're going to stay that colour, and they don't. As they get bigger, they do get more of that purpley cast, but it's not a purple like the purple darkfoot snails. So for me personally, it is the magenta is sort of like got the pinky purple and the Lightfoot, and the purple is the darkfoot, and it's definitely got a purple shell, which, by the way, for those of you waiting on our purples, we have a lot ready to go, but we've held shipping now until January, and then assuming the weather is not too bad in January, then we will ship again. I think again we've got about 30-40 people on the waiting list for them. When they hit the website, they usually sell within an hour. Sometimes they've sold within 10-15 minutes when I've put loads on. So for those waiting, like I say, we have a lot ready to go. We have a lot of purples. I only have very few magenta, and then I do have a lot of blues. And then, like I said, we have had a population explosion of hundreds and hundreds of them, but they will not be ready till about March, because obviously they've got to grow out. All right, well, let's see. Yeah, it sounds like you did get yourself a marble boy if the colour did changed. Let's see. How long until a baby beta can be changed into another water? I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking there. Another water? I don't know. You'd have to rephrase that, because I'm not sure what you're asking. Is that on a Facebook group, North County Aquatics? I'd be interested to see that. I mean, I know that people have been working on they've been sort of working on getting a much deeper purple within the magentas. Personally, for me anyway, I like that pinky purple cast, because obviously that's the whole point of it being magenta. So for me, I wouldn't say that the Lightfoot is going to be a true purple. And again, it also does depend at what stage the beta fish is at, the snail is at, and also is it full grown, is it a baby, and also what the lighting, because the lighting makes a huge difference in the colour of the snails. All right, is 76, 77 too low for a beta fish? I would say it's borderline. Usually at that temperature you will notice that they're not as active. So sort of if you bump it up to 78, 79, that is sort of where they would like it more. But no, I would say it's, for me that would be too, personally for me that would be too low, but I would say it's probably borderline for being okay. Okay, so let's see. Sheila, I really love your videos. I had a planted tank, but it didn't work out so good, so I gave up. Do you think plants need a heater? I think that might be the reason they died. I guess it depends on the plant. I don't know that I mean, obviously we don't use heaters, however, but our tanks are at 78 without. But I suspect that some plants probably do need it warmer than cold, as in cold, but I don't see why most plants probably wouldn't grow in, I would say 70 and above, and probably some even lower than that, but I am not a plant guru. Like I say, I keep it simple, so you'd have to do some research on that as well. My mystery snails don't hatch, or they fall into the water. Do you know why? Okay, if they've fallen into the water, you can leave them a couple of days wherever they've laid them, and then it gets so like rock solid that you can then take them off. And if you make sort of like a little incubator, all you have to do is get like a little plastic bowl, put some kitchen towel in, make it moist, and then if you get a lid and put holes in it and then just put it in there and float it on the top of your tank, then usually within 4 weeks they will hatch. They can sometimes go a little longer than that, but it is rare. Happy holidays to you all from Honolulu, Hawaii. Oh, okay, so you're asking how to make, okay, so I'm asking how to make water changes because the betas are very sensitive. Okay, in that case then I would say maybe do sort of a drip system. So you could take however much out that you want him to take out, and then do a drip system to put the water back. And that's fairly easy to do, in that if you fill a bucket up and get it to the right temperature, obviously add your water conditioner and do all that sort of stuff, and then all you need to do is take some tubing from the bucket into the tank, tie a knot in it so that it sort of only drips in, and that way you can add the fresh water, but you can do it at a much slower rate so that they will sort of acclimate as the water goes in. It is a Facebook group, definitely worth a look at. Do you have the name of it, or have I missed that already? I might have missed that. You can always put that down in the comments. Just don't do it as a link, because if it's a link then it goes into spam. So North County, if you just want to add that as in the comments after this is done, then I'll be able to take a look at that. I am actually on some of the snail groups on Facebook, but I've got to be honest, I don't use Facebook that often. I'm an Instagram girl. I like Instagram. Facebook, not so much. Any tips on what to do after dosing 2 different types of ick medicine, worsening the situation? I've lost 4 fish already. Wow, okay. When you say worsening the situation, is that because you overdosed, or are the fish just getting more sick because of the ick? I need just a little more information on that one. We have 27 tanks up and running. Wow. And I thought 16 was a lot. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know how you keep up with that, for sure. All right, let's see. I got a female Endler guppy, and it was in with a male for 1 week. She's still having babies 1 month later. When will she stop? It can take up to 6 months, believe it or not. Usually within 4 to 5 they'll stop, but it can be up to 6 months. We have 2 females that were in with males they were with males for a while, and we are now, I think I'm just coming on 3.5 to 4 months, and she's literally just given me another batch. So although one of the females actually has stopped, so one stopped after 3 months and the other one is still going, and I think we must be coming on nearly 4 months, but it's not quite 4 months. But she is full again, so there's no question she's going to give me another one. So we're definitely going to get 4 months. But I did that deliberately because I knew that they would go for a long time. So I deliberately sold the males off and kept the females, and we've got so many of those babies. All right, let's see. All my beta does is sit around. He does have big fins, a year old, has a heavily planted tank, and 78 degrees. What should I do? See, if he has got big fins, that's possibly why he's doing a lot of sitting. Unfortunately, beta fish that have the really large fins, then they do struggle to swim, and it is very tiring for them. So they do rest a lot more than your average beta will, that's sort of not got the finnage. It's to me, it's really sad that the breeding has become so extreme when it comes to the betas with the huge fins, and they then do struggle to swim. And I do feel that, that it's just such a shame. So it's possible that it's down to his fins, and it wouldn't really make much difference what you did at this point, because if it's the fins that are hindering him, then he's only got energy to swim so much. Oh, there we go. So there's Aquatic Nest says we don't use heaters. Tanks get down to 50 and all the plants grow really well. So those endlers would give birth forever. Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see, because I don't plan on putting any males back in with these females. So it would be interesting, to see what happens. But like I say, we're coming on the 4th month, so I stuck to one kind, done more changes. It's really hard to watch. If the ick treatment hasn't worked, I would suggest doing the heat method. That's what we have always used in the past. I have once used ick medication, and I think it was the ick X, and I found for me it didn't particularly work very well. So I did the heat treatment, and that took care of it, and we've never had ick since. One of the reasons I did choose that was because we have scaleless fish, and so if you've got scaleless fish, then the treatment can be very harsh on them. So we did the heat method, and if you just look that up and do research on it, I don't want to sort of give, it's one of those things that I don't remember all the details of what the temperature has to be, but I will say that with it, you are going to notice it gets worse before it gets better. However, when we did it, we didn't lose a single fish, so I would just do some research on it. I think we do have a video on doing it on exactly what we did, but I don't want to sort of give you the heat and everything off the top of my head because I don't want to get it wrong and kill more of your fish. I don't want to be responsible for that. Okay, have you considered making a divider system that creates a false back wall, allowing a filtration heater to be behind all the divided sections in the front, if that makes sense? Yeah, that does make sense, and I can't say that we have. So, no, I can't say that we have. I guess it's not a bad idea. The only thing that sort of like, I want to say jumps out at me is you're taking space away from the fish. But because you'd be like completely blacking off one whole section. And it would depend what filtration you did as well at that point, because obviously you couldn't sort of fit, say, sponge filters behind it. You'd need something with a low flow, especially in a divided tank. So actually, talking about dividers, we have something very exciting starting in January, and we are going into some of the stores. We've been having, over the last few months, stores regularly contacting us, asking if they can sell our product, and this is retail stores, walk-in stores, this is not online stores. And we have finally started to get our act together, shall we say. No, we finally started to be able to produce enough of them that we've been able to do that. And so in January we will be offering wholesale to stores throughout the USA. We've been working with, in fact I've got some here, we've been working with Jason from Jadron Aquatics to do all our labelling. So starting in January, all our dividers will be going out in completely different packaging. So this is like for the 10 gallons, so this will be the front, and then this will be on the back, which then gives you all the details. And they will be available in some stores starting the beginning of next year. So we are so excited about that. When we started selling these a little over 2 years ago, we could never have imagined how big it would become and how popular, and it's just been incredible. So for the last few months we've been working on product packaging and costing and all that type of stuff, and we are almost there now. Well, we are there, we're just waiting for the labels to come in, and then we're good to go. And we have quite a few stores interested, and we have yeah, so we're really excited, really excited. And I don't know whether some of you have seen my posts that there's a store in South Carolina. They bought a ton of our dividers, and they are making the way for a new way of betta fish being kept in stores, which is really exciting. For those of you that have seen it on my Instagram post, you've already heard and seen all about this, but the business is called Fishy Business, and they now keep their betta fish in tanks sort of all set up that are divided with our dividers. So that is really exciting to us that they're now not in cups, they're in a much bigger space, and they can obviously be shown off a lot nicer as well. So very exciting, and it's going to be really fun to see. I am sure hectic and crazy and ups and downs, but I'm really excited to see what 2020 brings with where all this will go for us. So there's just a little heads up. That's something we're very excited about. All right, let's get back to the all right, I have a Dumbo beta, his fins were ripped. I received him like that when he came through the post. I would say plenty of water changes, almond leaves, some aquarium salt, and that I'm sure that would soon heal, as long as it was ripped and not fin nipping. If it was fin nipping, then that's just a habit that hopefully will have just happened through the stress of shipping and will stop once it's in a wonderful tank. Do you know anyone breeding? Do you know anyone breeding to get red snails? I don't. No. Are we talking about mystery snails, or are we talking about ram's horns, or a different type? But if it's mystery, I don't. Yeah, heat method. Yeah, that's the one I would say for me personally is my go-to. I think with the heat method, a lot of people panic because the temperature has to go so high, but fish can withstand a lot of. They can withstand a lot higher temperatures than we think they can, but you do have to provide a lot more aeration in the tank, so you ideally need to add a few air stones and things like that. But yeah, to me, the heat is a good way to go, especially if the ick medication isn't working. All right. Oh, I'm jumping. It's jumping up. Give me 1 minute. All right. Your dividers are the best. Well, thank you. Okay. Let me see. My beta, what is this? Okay, last question. My beta that I talked about is in a 5 gallon now. Should I downgrade him to a 2.5 or leave him where he is? I would leave him where he is. I don't see any point in giving him the opportunity to swim even less. So I would leave him where he is. I don't think the tank size is going to make that much of a difference. I'm in South Carolina, but on the coast, not very close to Columbia, though. We'll have to check them out one day. Yes, yeah, it's so exciting for us because it means that if they're going to be sold in stores, then obviously there isn't all the shipping costs that go with them. So, so obviously it will make them even more affordable. The one issue we have is the shipping of them is obviously a big part of the cost. And so, but for those of you that don't know, we do sell them on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and then obviously our own website. So we do sell them across all of those. Okay, so a friend gave me her mystery snail. She didn't want any more, and the shells are paper thin and see-through. Do you know if this is fixable or not? I don't know that it would be completely fixable, but you can certainly do a lot to strengthen the new growth of shell, and that is by a high calcium diet. One of the feedback we get a lot on our snails is just how fabulous their shells are, and that is because we feed them a very high calcium diet. We do green beans. I only occasionally do the broccoli, but their staple diet is a recipe that we make. I do think it's actually listed on our website, on the snail food pack. I think if somebody's got the link and wants to just put that in there, they can do. But we do, so we do actually have an actual recipe that you can use, and you're basically adding calcium to like a Snello recipe, and that will considerably make a difference. We also sell calcium chips, and they are fantastic for the shells. It's just something that you feed once, twice a week, and if you've only got 1 or 2 mystery snails, then you only need to sell maybe a half. You only need to give them maybe I'm so sorry about that, guys. An order just flashed up from our website on the thing, and I saw the word sell, and that's why I said that. I apologize for that. Yeah, so the calcium chips as well are absolutely fantastic for the shell growth as well, but just a diet high in calcium will make a huge difference. So if you do some research on that, then that will really help. All right, let me see, where are we? Website, Amazon, eBay. She has a website, and also, I'm assuming that's supposed to say Amazon. Yeah, website, Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. They're sold. Amazon, the price, let me address this actually. Amazon, the prices are a lot higher than you will find them on anywhere else. And we've had a few, shall we say, unpleasant comments about that. And the reason for that is Amazon's fees to sell are very, very high. So we have basically added the difference in the price on Amazon and our website is the fees. That's the bottom line. We've kept it as fair as we can. We haven't bumped the price up just for the fun of it. We have the prices set at that because of the fees with Amazon. Once you sell over 40 items a month on Amazon, and we sell a lot more than that, then you have to have their it's like their premium, where you've got to pay a certain amount every month, and on top of that there are then seller fees, and there's all sorts of fees. It's absolutely crazy. So that is why on Amazon they are a lot higher. So I'm just putting that out there for those that don't like that fact. Hey Susan, good to see you. I saw that you were streaming at 7, so I waited because I was going to do 7, and then it was like, no, can't do 7, Susan's on. All the mods in the chat, that's right. Lots of mods. Lots of mods. Alright, let me see if I can catch up with this chat. Where are we at? Alright. Okay, we keep jumping here. So for those of you in the chat, how many of you do have snails? Do a lot of you have snails? Do most of you have betta fish? Is that I tell you what, answer me this. What do most of you watch our videos for? What type of content is why you follow our channel? I guess that would be quite helpful information actually. Is it betta fish? Is it snails? Is it the channel as a whole? What is the reason that you watch our content? Actually, our content's just been hit to Amazon. I'm sure all of you know about Amazon's changes and everything that is happening. And sadly, our content has dramatically been hit with that. We had a video we put out, I think it was last week or the week before, took off like a rocket. And it has literally tanked. The day that, I don't know why Amazon, I've got Amazon on the brain. I don't know why YouTube have taken exception to it, because it's about snails and algae and eating algae. It was the Snail Wars one, or the which snail does better. And the day everything changed, which was the 10th of December, up to that point, the video was, I think it was at like 1,500 to 2,000 views a day, which for us is amazing. And it was just growing. And the day that all the changes came in, it has absolutely plummeted. And I think it's now hitting maybe 80 views a day. And it's like, what issue can they have with that, because there's nothing in it. It's about snails eating algae. We've had another video, the same thing, our pothos one, which is, I think, almost in fact it's gone over 500,000 views, that one, and all of a sudden that one's tanked as well. So I'm not quite sure what we've done to upset YouTube, but it's not very encouraging, I will say that. In fact, it's quite discouraging having that happen when you spend a long time, making videos and putting the effort into them, and then that happens. But I'm sure I won't be the only one. Alright, so snails and betta fish and snails, okay. Mystery snails mostly. Do you know, every time we post the video, I don't think I've posted it on here, but every time I post the video of the snails laying their clutches, they always go crazy on Instagram. It makes me laugh so much, but yeah, the snail content does seem to do well, especially on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, it is Life with Pets 72. Alright, and actually if you do buy from us and you tag us, we do always put it in our story as well. That's something else that I do as well. Or if you're watching our videos, then I do tag that as well if you tag us. Main content is betta fish. Yeah, I mean, betta fish is where we started, so it doesn't surprise me that you're all saying betta fish. Or betta fish, betta fish, whichever. Better tank dividers recommended by other Betta owners. Well, I'd have to say ours, if that's a question. Also love Belfin. Yes, who can't love Belfin? I mean, who can't love him? I watch you for everything. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. The fish, the snails, the knowledge. I have snails, cories, plecos, blind cave tetras, red-tailed sharks, but I like all the videos thus far. Well, thank you. Betta fish and Malaysian trumpet snails, and I have 2 of your mystery snails, a blue and ivory. So you must have had them for a while then, because we've not had blue or ivory for a long time. So Yeah, we've not had those for a long time. The Belfin fan club for the win, of course. Absolutely. I mean, come on, you know. Um, I'm from America and like accents. Do you know, it's so funny. Do you know what I've had to do? On YouTube, and again, I'm sure you already know this, but you can set certain words that if people say certain things, especially with the way YouTube's going, then I have like all these different words set that if somebody puts like that word, then it goes into the flagged, and I can then approve it or obviously delete it. You know, one of those words I had to do, voice. Can you believe that? I had to do a voice, and the reason I did that was I was getting, it's more in the beginning than now, but I still do get it now. In fact, I had a comment the other day, and thankfully since doing YouTube, I've grown a very thick skin, because it was a very unpleasant comment, but again, it was about my voice, and people either love it or they hate it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, you know, but I don't really know why they feel the need to tell me, you know, just don't watch my videos. I mean, it really is that simple. But so I have actually had that put, the word voice, and a few others that go along with it, because of, it was like say more in the early days, but I did get one last week, and thankfully due to my thick skin I was able to laugh it off. But yeah, you'd be amazed. All right. Oh, jumped up again. Hang on a minute. Where are we? Callie needs a fan club too. Yeah, she does. She can't get left out. We haven't shown her much actually since we got her. But like I say, they will be in next week's video. My son and I, for those of you that don't know, Creative Innovations is actually my son moderating. And so my son and I tomorrow are going to do a video with Belfin and Callie and the plants that are in that tank, because like say they sold out, 2 shipments sold out in no time at all, and so I'm going to do an update on them and how we clean them, because that's a question we've been getting. So Belfin and Callie will be in the next video. I'm always here for my boy Belfin. Yeah, that's so true. It started with a beta and then I fell in love with Belfin. I'm also a fan of genuine people and I get that vibe from you. Well, thank you, Jen. That's very kind. Working on getting my first fish. A lot of info I've seen about beta fish is they grow to be between 2.5 inches. Does that include the fins? I guess it depends on the beta fish, but yeah, I would say that's probably about accurate. Yeah. Your tank dividers and kits. Is that a question, Susan? Or I'm so sorry, I keep looking over here. It's because the chat goes way too fast on my iPad. So I've got the chat down here. So I am so sorry, I keep looking over here. It's probably very distracting. Is that a question, Susan, or you're just saying you like them? I'm not sure. I need a test tube stand too. Yeah, I have a friend, I was doing all the wood burning on our test tube holders, but they've become fairly popular and keeping up with them has been difficult. So I actually have a friend who does wood burning as a side business, and so I'm actually going to see if she will wood burn for us so I can get them back up on the website, because we have a long list for those. So I am working on it, know that, but we are also going to just do some basic ones as well. We're going to do like just the standard. It's just going to literally be like a square box, and it will all be stained and all beautifully finished, but it will just be like a square piece of wood with the 4 holes in. We are going to do some basic ones as well. So all right, let's see. Found your channel, doing my research for my beta fish. Well, thank you and welcome, Ray. Not a question, saying what's your channel? Oh, for tank dividers, another. Okay, all right, I got it. Okay, they are huge now. It's been at least a year. Yes, they do get really, really big, especially if fed well. They get very, very large mystery snails. I think that's what, I don't think people realise that, you know, that they can get as big as a golf ball and even bigger. So I would say that, yeah, I don't think a lot of people realise that. And I think with mystery snails as well, I think a lot of people just get them as cleanup crew to clean up any uneaten food, but they need a diet of their own. If they're going to be kept correctly and they're going to be healthy and strong shells and live a long time, I think on a lot of sites the projected lifespan is 1 to 2 years. They can live way beyond that if they're given the correct diet and obviously water parameters and care. Then they can actually live a lot longer than that. Most of ours that we keep, that we breed, get to well over 3 years of age, and some have gone even beyond that, so they can live a long time. All right, Hobart Music, love your channel, thank you very much. You're on the road again, Nisi. Okay, let me see. My family and friends call me Callie for short, so Callie will be my new favourite from now on. Yeah, Callie needs a few fans. She needs a few fans. I started watching the channel for goldfish, but continue to watch for your tank updates. Well, thank you, Nisi. I think you've been here probably not far from the beginning, if memory serves me. I think you've been here near enough since the beginning. Would you consider doing ASMR? No, no, that's not for me. Not at all. Can you sell your tank covers? I've tried to make them but can't. We have looked into this so many times. It's a bit like the dividers. When we first made that very first divider, 3.5 years ago, and we had so many people saying, will you make them, and we kept saying no, and that was because we couldn't figure out how, because all 10-gallon tanks are not the same size. They're all different, even of the same brand. So all Aqueon tanks, they're still all very slightly different size. And then Topfin 10-gallon is a completely different size, aquaculture and so on. And so we really struggled to be able to fill that slight gap of how we were going to make them fit, and obviously we've overcome that and it's been very successful. Well, we have a very similar issue with the lids in that, again, they're not all the same size. We also have the issue of what filtration everybody has. Do they just need like the little notches out for a divided tank, or do they need like a big cutout because they've got a hang on back filter? So it gets a lot more complicated than it seems. And then on top of that, we use acrylic, so it's not cheap to buy. In fact, it's expensive to buy. It's not the easiest material to cut, although we have a shop and can do that. It's still not the easiest material to cut. It scratches very easily. So as you can see, there's a lot of things go into this, in that there's just too many variables, and when it comes to relying on people to do measuring and stuff, that's just not reliable. It's why we don't do custom dividers. We have actually started selling the divider as a raw material that people can make their own, but we with the lids, we just still haven't been able to get over that hurdle. We did like cost it out at one point, and it was expensive, and we came to the conclusion people just wouldn't pay it, and so we're just not willing to put that investment in. With any product that you start to make, the dividers, for instance, there is a lot of investment gone into making those. And all the products that we now sell on our website, we've spent months and months testing and things like that. So we never go into something lightly, because we want the best. We want to do the best and to have a good reputation. And so we just feel with that product, it's not something that we can fulfill, that we think that we could do it on a consistent basis. So at the moment, it's still a no. I don't want to say a never, but at the moment, it's still a no. I'm so sorry. That was a long-winded answer there for a very quick question. All right, where are we? Let's see. Can't wait for your next video for goldfish. Okay, I've got to go get dinner, going back to lurking mode. Thank you, Nisi. All right. Okay, any tips on moving the babies? I'm actually very worried about it. If you're moving across state, you could actually ship them to yourself. That is one way of doing it. Otherwise, I would say that if you bag them up as if they're being shipped, then I think that's probably the safest way to do it, or it's how I would do it anyway. If I was moving our fish, I think that I would do them as if we were shipping them. Even if we weren't, I'd still bag them that way. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So, is there any fish you could see being able to be kept in a mobile home / a van house? I guess you'd have to make sure that you've got a stable environment, but I would say, I mean, obviously I don't think you could do maybe large tanks, but I don't see why you couldn't do a 10 gallon or maybe even a 20, but it would depend obviously on your space. I think that's a difficult question. They are over 100 beautiful babies. Wow, is that betta fish we're talking about? 100 betta fish? That would be difficult, I would imagine. Let's see. I have 2 snails, ivory and blue, from you in August. Have 3 of their babies. One parent stopped eating and died, and now the other is doing the same. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Check your water parameters. Snails are very, very sensitive to water parameters, so I would say check those. I mean, if you got them in August, then let me see, they'd have been born in May of 2018, so I mean they're over a year and a half, at least a year and a half I would say, because usually we sell them at, it depends how the growth rate, because obviously some grow more than others, but they're usually between 10 to 12 weeks old when we sell them. How did you become an entrepreneur? Oh wow, boy, I've never really thought of myself quite in that way, but okay. Is this something you already had experience in the fish world? No, absolutely not. I'd like to get into selling plants, but I'm very scared. Any words of wisdom? We did not have any experience of what we're doing now at all. It's something that we definitely didn't see coming. We're coming on, I think it's 3 years of selling, I think, in February. I'm not quite sure. It's been a slow process. It's been a very big learning curve because I had no experience of anything like this. So it's been, I've had to do, I did a lot of research. I would say do a lot of research. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube for sort of just the pitfalls. But I think probably the one thing I would say is whatever you're going to sell. What did you say? Oh, plants. You're planning on selling plants. I would say that whatever it is, plants, whatever you're going to do, I would say that you need to make sure that they are the best that they can be, and that your service is the best it can be. You know, what is going to bring people back to your website or bring people back to you is you obviously your product, number one, how it arrives, is it still alive, you know, how it's presented. You know, when we're doing packaging, we actually have 2 packers now, and then I join in, especially on a Monday if we've got a lot of live shipments. But the one thing that I do say a lot is the box when it arrives is the first thing that they see, and then once they open that box, then again what they first see is the first impression of the product. And so we do our best to, everything is shipped the same way. You know, we sort of have like a uniform way of packing everything. So I would say that you need to make sure your product's the best it can be. Obviously you need to build a reputation, and social media is a great platform for that. It takes time, you know, people seem to want everything now. You know, for our channel to get where it's at now is coming on, I think 4 years in February or April, I can't remember, but it's 4 years. You know, Instagram's like 2 years. Our business that we've built is going to be, I think it is, I don't know whether it's 2 years or 3 years in February, I've lost count, but it's no more than 3 for sure. So it takes time, it's baby steps, and you just, your reputation is everything. You know, being fair prices, fair with the customer, put mistakes right if mistakes happen. You know, build a decent website. That's another one, and that's where it can start getting costly. You know, sometimes we'll get comments that, oh, you know, your dividers are really expensive for a piece of, you know, plastic. But what people don't realise is there's a lot of work goes into those dividers. In fact, my son and I, this week we've been sort of like getting our yearly figures together, and I'm not going to go into what we sold. Yeah, creative innovations, haha, yes, a lot. Yeah, he knows where I'm going with this. That's my son, by the way. We actually worked out oh, James, we actually worked out just how many holes we have drilled this year alone. By the end of the year, we will have drilled over 300,000 holes in dividers, and that does not include all the no hole dividers that have gone out, but that's just holes. So people don't realise, and then every single one of those holes, so those 300,000 plus holes, have then been sealed in. And what I mean by that is when they're drilled, they're then quite sharp, and so we have to seal them in. And I'm not going to go into how we do that, because obviously that's all our sort of you know, way of producing the product, so I'm not going to go into that. And then after that, all the edges are sealed in, all the corners are rounded, all the sidebars are gone on. If it's the bigger dividers, we've had to have custom sidebar material shipped in, because the regular ones aren't enough. So, you know, I don't think people realise that you have got all this work that goes into it, and then you've got all your shipping and your packaging and everything else, and that all takes a lot of time. So don't undersell yourself either. You know, allow for your time. Especially if you're wanting it to become a business, you have to allow for time. You have to allow to employ people. We now employ people, and so you have to allow for all that within what you're doing. But when you first start, you need to be competitive, obviously. But again, a website is expensive to run. It's expensive to run. And again, I don't think people realise that you have all these expenses, you know, business insurance, you have to have business insurance. So all these things add up, and they're all part. I mean, our dividers, I think, are at $16.99 or $17. I never know. We've got so many prices on there now. I think they're at $17.99 plus shipping. And for that $17.99, you have got a fully made product. And then we've had to build in all those costs that go with that as well. So you make sure you work your costings out well when you're doing a product. I could talk forever on this, so I think I'm going to stop. Maybe that's another video, you know, that's another video. But I would just say, do your research, and build from there. You know, get a presence on social media. You know, when you do sell things, for us, we have not had to advertise, because word of mouth has done it. You know, our product has spoken for itself, and so we have not had to really do any advertising at all. And in fact, this Thanksgiving sale, we had the biggest sale and the most dividers go out that it near enough cleared us out, and we had a lot ready to go, and we are still struggling to catch up because sales are still really good. Do we ship to Canada? We actually do, but we only do it through eBay. And depending which one you want, if it's not listed for Canada, then just message me and I can see if it's something that we can do. But just be aware, shipping to Canada is expensive. I think it's $14 for a divider to go to Canada. But we do ship a lot to Canada. I will say that it was a good move putting them on eBay, because we do ship a lot to Canada. Anyway, I'll get off that subject, and maybe if anyone is interested, maybe we could do a live stream on sort of all that side of things. But all right, where are we? Hubby asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and your dividers were my response. I can't wait to try them out. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you. Okay, let's see. Have a great night. I've got to get the kids to bed. Well, thank you for joining us. You've probably gone already by now, but hey, thank you very much for joining us. I am going to go very shortly, guys. I was only supposed to be staying on for 30 minutes, and an hour has gone by. So I guess we need to do this more often, because once I get going, I've got a lot to say, you know. So Okay, where are we? I need to move them 30 minutes away from my location. Will they manage if they don't have a heater? If they're in a car or a vehicle and you've got the heat on in that, they probably would be okay for 30 minutes. The temperature's not going to drop that dramatically. What I would maybe do, I don't know if it's viable for you to do, but you could get the I think it's called green fibre, and you could put them in like individual bags within, well, I guess you can't do 100 of them that way, especially if it's betta fish, but you could put them in some sort of bags or containers and then wrap them in that, and that is an excellent insulation. That would make a huge difference. So yeah, I would do that. So, oh, JH Aquatics, well, hello Joseph, thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for the super chat. $3 super chat. I like that. Is that a pear or a pickle? What is that? Is it a pear? A little pear with a headband. I have not seen that before. That is adorable. Well, thank you very much. Great info, Sheila. You, Rachel O'Leary and Kasia are the best. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Don't forget to like the stream. Yes. Yeah, please go ahead and like the stream. Like I say, I think, guys, that I am going to go. Nope, I'm one of those widows who wait for a response. Oh, that's too funny. Well, you got your response, so you could go put your kids to bed now. You can go and put them to bed. So, yeah, thank you, Joseph, for that. Do you know when you're moving to the US yet? Do you have a date on that yet? I do lurk every now and again and follow what's going on. All right. Well, I think we're probably just about done in the chat, so I'm going to see if I can figure out how to turn this off. Like I say, it's changed since we do. Can you do a video on how to choose a healthy in-store betta? Do I have a video? I know I've got a video somewhere on the channel talking about that, but all I would say is just to make sure that it's really active. The fins look good. That, you know, they're willing to display. Sometimes if you put them up against another one, you know, and if they sort of get all fired up, and, you know, that can sort of tell you that, you know, they're doing okay. I don't think with a pet store betta there's any surefire way 100% of knowing, but you can certainly look for certain things. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for joining me. It has been such a long time since we've done this, and I do appreciate you all showing up and spending this hour with us. So if I don't do this before Christmas, if I don't do another one before Christmas, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and don't forget to watch out for the Belfin video next week. All right, guys, bye for now, and I'm going to figure out how to turn this off now.